Hello everybody, today we are learning how to solve rational functions. And the first problem that we have, we're going to try to solve x divided by x minus 3 plus x over x plus 3 is equal to 2 over x squared minus 9. Well, the first thing that we want to do is we want to factor everything out to find the LCD, or least common denominator. Now if we look at this, we can see that the only things that we can factor are in the denominator. So we have x over x minus 3, but x minus 3 cannot be factored. X over x plus 3, again, this cannot be factored. But if we look at the last term, 2 over x squared minus 9, this is a difference of two squares problem, so we can factor that out. So I'm just going to rewrite everything down. So x over x minus 3 plus x over x plus 3 is equal to 2, and now we're going to factor the x squared minus 9. And since that's the difference of two squares, we know we can factor that into x minus 3 and x plus 3. So now that we have everything factored out, it's easy to see what the least common denominator is. If we look at each denominator, it's all the factors put together. So in the first denominator we have x minus 3. The second one we have x plus 3. And then in this third one it's x minus 3 and x plus 3, but nothing different. So the least common denominator is x minus 3 and x plus 3. So I'm going to say multiply both sides by the LCD. So now when I do that, what that's going to look like, putting the whole deal in brackets, same as parentheses, and the least common denominator is x minus 3 and x plus 3. So now when I do that, what's really going to happen is I'm going to distribute these two terms to each of the fractions or rational terms. So I'm going to have x over x minus 3, but I'm also going to be multiplying that by the x minus 3, x plus 3. And I'm going to have to work to fit this all in. Plus x over x minus 3 times the x minus 3 x plus 3 is equal to 2 over x minus 3 x plus 3 and still times the x minus 3 x plus 3. Okay, so now notice that since we're multiplying every term by the least common denominator, you should be able to see that when we simplify each of these terms now, our denominators will be gone. So x minus 3, those are gone, and I'm left with x times x plus 3. I wrote x minus 3, it should be plus 3 there. So x plus 3 and x plus 3 are gone now, and so now it's just x times x minus 3. And then also in this last one, x minus 3, x minus 3, x plus 3, x plus 3, and it reduces only to 2. So this step, what I did is I reduced, or I'm going to say simplify, and solve for x. Okay, so now if I distribute these x's, I'll get x squared plus 3x, and here I'll have x squared minus 3x is equal to 2. And combine my like terms, I'll have 2x squared. The 3x and negative 3x cancel out, is equal to 2. And now I can divide by 2. And I get x squared is equal to 1. Take the square root of both sides and I can get x is equal to plus or minus 1. Now these are the possible solutions. We're not done yet. So now I want to check for extraneous solutions. Remember, extraneous solutions are apparent solutions to this problem. So these are the two apparent solutions that could work that actually do not work when plugged into the original function again. So if we plugged it back into this function, we would see that it didn't work. So I'm going to check it out real quick. So there's our problem. And I'm going to first let's put in positive 1. So if we put in a positive 1 into this function, we would get 1 over 1 minus 3 plus 1 over 1 plus 3 is equal to 2 over 1 squared minus 9. Alright, so we would have 1 over negative 2, so that's a negative 1/2, plus 1 over 4 is equal to 2 over 1 minus 9, that'd be negative 2 over 8, or a negative 1/4. So negative 1/2, we can least common denominator, that would go to negative 2/4, plus 1/4 is equal to a negative 1/4, because we simplified that fraction. And if we did the math right there, that would equal, this side would be negative 1/4, so 1 does work. So now we want to check negative 1. So we're putting a negative 1 in for x now. Negative 1 plus 3, 2 over negative 1 squared minus 9. So negative 1 plus 3 minus 3 is negative 4. So negative 1 over negative 4 is a positive 1/4. Negative 1 over negative 1 plus 3. That would be a negative 1 over 2. So that would be a negative 1/2. And 2 over 1 minus 9 is a negative 8. So again, if you look at this, 2 over 8 can reduce to negative 1/4. 1/4 minus 1/2, well, that equals a negative 1/4. So both of these do work. So these check off, and those are my two solutions. Alright, so here's I got one that I would like for you guys to try. So go ahead and pause this video, write down the problem, try to work it out, get as far as you can, and then once you're ready, go ahead and press play and I'll show you the solution. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at this. What do we have in the denominator? We have x, 2, and a 2x. Notice none of this we can factor. So the next thing that I'm going to do, since I can't factor anything out, is I'm just going to try to see if I can find what my least common denominator is and multiply this equation by it. So remember, if I just write down what is in the denominators, well, I have an x, a 2, and a 2x. If I multiply all these together, x times 2 is 2x, but since I have a 2x already, I don't need a 2x. Another 2x, I mean. So I just have 2x as being my least common denominator. So now the next step is to multiply each term by that 2x. So I'm going to have this 2x here plus x over 2 times the 2x is equal to x plus 4 over 2x times 2x. So I distributed each, or that 2x, to each of the terms. So now what I can do is go through and simplify everything. Well, if you notice, 1 times 2x is 2x over the x. Well, the x's here will cancel out now. So I can cancel that out, and then I have just 2 left. Okay, so now again, I have 2 over 2. Those can cancel out, and I'm just left with x times x, which is x squared, is equal to, and again 2x, 2x, they cancel out, and that's just x plus 4. So now notice that every single term had something that eliminated, and it's always whatever is in the denominator is what can be eliminated. So now I'm going to try to solve for this, and I'm going to bring all these terms over to the left side. So I'm going to have x squared minus x and then that's going to be negative 2. So what I did here, let's go back real quick just to make sure you guys are staying with me, is I subtracted an x from both sides, and then I subtracted 4 from both sides. And then I wrote that in descending order. So I had, what the heck? So now I'm ready to solve this equation, and the way I'm going to do that is by factoring. So notice this is a trinomial, and a is 1, so I'm going to have x and x at the beginning. Factors of a negative 2 that add to be negative 1, well, that's going to be a negative 2 and a positive 1. And so when I solve these, I set each of these equal to 0, solve for x, so I'd have x minus 2 is equal to 0, and then I'd have x plus 1 is equal to 0, so x is equal to 2, or x is equal to negative 1. Now I'm not quite done because I need to check for my extraneous solutions. So when I go back to my original equation up here, I'm going to put in the 2 first. So 1 over x, or 1 over 2, plus 2 over 2 is equal to 2 plus 4 over 2 times 2. So we have 1/2 plus 1 is equal to 6 over 4. So that would be 1 1/2, or 1.5 if you want to put that in a decimal. And 6 divided by 4 is also 1.5. So that works. Alright, so let's try negative 1. So we'd have 1 over negative 1 minus 1 over 2 is equal to negative 1 plus 4 over 2 times negative 1, which would give me a negative 2. So negative 1 minus 1/2, that would be a negative 1.5. Negative 1 plus 4 is positive 3 over 2, so that's a negative. Negative 3/2 is, again, a negative 1.5, so they both work this time. So both check off.